Time for more Steam Deck coverage. In this month of October, we should take a look at something in the horror genre, and something I've been waiting to be able to test for a good while now. We already covered the original Resident Evil 4 a while back, so now let's take a look at how the Steam Deck can handle the Resident Evil 4 Remake along with its story DLC separate ways. We should start this by talking about recent events. The RE4 Remake has been playable on the deck from the get-go. The pre-release demo was practically broken, but the full game worked alright as we saw in a stream months back. But the Separate Ways story DLC did not work when it launched. You could pull it up, but the first main cinematic would always freeze the game and crash the entire system, forcing the Steam Deck through a reboot. There were supposed fixes that worked for some, but not others, with using Proton 8.0.3 and the Steam Deck's beta channel in settings. But thankfully, it seems to have been fixed. I can now run the game without Proton enabled, and the cutscene and campaign itself will play without any problems. Well, I say without any problems, but it is worth noting that you'll likely not be able to get this game running at a perfect 40 FPS or even 30 for the entire adventure. It's playable, but fairly choppy. Let's dive into a little more by talking about settings. I run the game with pretty much everything down as low as they can go. You can keep a few options like textures around medium if you want, as it won't cause that many changes to the frame rate, but the idea is to keep things as low as possible if you want to play this on the Steam Deck. And with all of those settings low, you'll get frame rates all over the place, but typically in the 30 to 45 range. Areas like the lake and indoor facilities will typically run pretty high, sometimes even jumping up to the 50 to 60 range. But most open and busy areas with enemies will steer around 30 to 40 FPS, with some averaging a bit lower. A couple of good examples of performance problems are the merchant's hideout right outside the lake and pretty much everything in the castle, both in the main game and Separate Ways DLC. You'll pretty much always be getting drops into the high 20s there. It's also worth noting that looking down a scope will always tank the frame rate. I don't know what it is about them, but if you can run a rifle without one outside of fighting regenerators, it does lead to a more pleasant experience. Now, obviously, this is not your ideal situation. Lots of drops into the high 20s, graphics are low so it can get a bit fuzzy at times, hence why I said some settings on medium isn't going to affect it all that much. But at the end of the day, it is playable RE4 Remake on the go. You can easily lock the deck down to 30 FPS for a decent experience, just not a perfect one. Next up is battery life. I didn't expect to get that much here, and we really don't. On higher brightness, this game will get you around an hour and a half, with lower brightness raising that to about an hour and 40 minutes. Now, as we wrap this up, would I recommend the Resident Evil 4 Remake on the Steam Deck? I don't know. If you want this game on the go and don't have an ROG Ally or iPhone 15 Pro for that upcoming mobile version, then sure. It's a fantastic remake, but I would call it okay on the deck. Just be prepared for those lower frame rates if you do take the plunge. And that's all I've got for you today. I'll be back soon with more Steam Deck performance and reviews. As always, thank you for watching and have a great day.